along. Okay, so here's my ride for today. Only kidding. Here it is. Yeah. Okay, so I'm on another Harley. A little bit different to the last one, as you can probably see. This is the 2015 Harley Ultra Limited. This is the low edition. Oops. Which means, yeah, it's got a lower seat height than the standard Ultra, lower suspension, and that's all good if you're a smaller rider. I'm not really, I mean, I'm about 5'10", so I'm not massive, but I'm not really small, I'm not really tall. Yeah, there are a few little issues with that, which I'll get to in a bit. But I think the biggest issue so far with this thing is just the weight of this thing. It's pushing on half a ton. I'm not kidding. It's something like 450 kilos plus me on it. So yeah, I've never really tried putting half a ton around a corner on two wheels before. And it's an experience, and it does it, but you've just got to be careful and quite slow with this thing. Unlike the Breakout I was riding the other week, yeah, this doesn't really like being ridden quickly. The Breakout, you can actually ride it quickly, surprisingly, and it does respond reasonably well. This, not so much. This really is, yeah, well, the clue's in the title, glide. It's just a glide machine. You just glide along and waft along. So it's really for sort of long distance touring and extreme comfort. Okay, so we're coming onto a nice straight road now, dual carriageway, and this is really where the Ultra is kind of at its best. Cruising along, motorway speeds, and yeah, at this sort of speed, not too bad, but once you get up a little bit more, like there, all of a sudden, I'm getting a lot of buffeting. My teeth are chattering, my eyes are rattling around in my head. Well, move my head around, it's even worse. The screen's a little bit lower on this as well because it's the low model, and I think because I'm not really a low person, I'm not really that small, I don't think really the ergonomics are set up for someone of this sort of height. I think if you're a little bit shorter, a bit smaller, then yeah, this would probably be spot on. But it says it has a top speed of about 120, this thing, which, yeah, I suppose it will do, but it's not really about speed, this bike. I'm not going to be throwing this bike around like I was the Breakout in the last video, because this bike just doesn't respond to it, and it's not really designed for that. Oh yeah, I've got the radio on. The infotainment system on this thing is fantastic. It took me a while to figure out where the volume was, but once you know where everything is, it's really intuitive, all this stuff. Got the radio on right now. I could put Bluetooth on and send my tunes through there, but I can't do that because of, yeah, reasons of YouTube. But it works, it's really good. The sound system's amazing. And I'm not really used to sort of having a bike with a sound system. It's kind of a novel thing. Uh-oh, Bible bashers. He blatantly hates me. Spawn of Satan on a Harley! So yeah, there's torque in pretty much every gear, whenever you want it, which is quite nice. But it just sort of wafts along. You don't get this sort of huge rush of speed and acceleration. You sort of get this sort of surge, and you think, that's alright, and then you look at the speedo and you're doing 80. It's like, oh, okay. So I guess it's a little bit quicker than it looks. But because it's just so slow revving and so heavy and quite lazy, it doesn't really give the impression that it's actually going that quickly. Which is fine though. Again, I'm always banging on about speed, and to be honest, this bike is not about speed. What it is, just low speed. I know a lot of my other videos, I'm just generally hammering it around everywhere, going on about speed and handling dynamics and all that shit. But today, no, I'm just out for a cruise. I do go out for a little cruise occasionally. Not always about speed. It's just when I make my videos, I just like to sort of do a video where I'm riding something quickly, because it's a bit more interesting than me. I don't generally talk about myself a lot. It's just all about the bikes. And to be honest, you try riding this thing quickly, it's just kind of scary and a bit pointless really. Why would you want to ride this thing like quickly, start throwing it around corners and stuff? I think you're kind of missing the point really if you're buying a bike like this to do that sort of stuff with. It's the 103 cubic inch plant for 1700cc in old money. It's been retuned a little bit though. This is putting out about 95 horsepower, which compared to the breakout we're just putting out about 70 or something. It's a bit of an improvement, but then it's got a lot more weight to haul around. So yeah, more power, more torque. Most of the power, the extra sort of increase in power, comes from the fact that this bike is liquid cooled as well as air cooled. So that means also I think they can run a slightly higher compression as well. So it gives you about an extra sort of 5% over the standard 103 inch motor that they put in most of their other bikes. And I think actually, I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, but I think that might be a first for Harley, having liquid cooled on their bikes. So yeah, for all its tradition and its heritage, it's actually a fairly sophisticated bike. So yeah, you got the liquid cooled engine. It's got a linked brake system as well, which once you get above sort of 20 miles an hour, it's kind of linked. So when you put a bit on the back, it puts a bit on the front, a bit on the front, a bit on the back, vice versa. Which, yeah, I don't know, I can't really tell if it works or not, but it's nice to know that it's there. You know, if you go into a corner a little bit hot and you put a bit of the brake on, it's going to help pull you up a little bit better, maybe. I don't know. But I think it's, you know, a safety feature, which if it was on a sport bike, I'd probably scoff at it and go, you don't need that. But I think on a bike like this, you really need any sort of extra safety feature you can, to be fair. So I think it's a nice thing to have. Brake-wise, obviously it's a half-a-ton bike. You know, the brakes are kind of as you'd expect. You need to give yourself about 2 miles to stop. No, it's not that bad, to be honest. It's actually got a reasonable amount. It's very soft at the front, obviously, but it does eventually haul you up. And I can actually use the 2 fingers on the brake reasonably well. You can be quite ham-fisted with the brakes. You know, you don't have to be. It's not really sharp and grabby like it is on a sport bike, so it's really quite progressive. But yeah, you do have to give yourself time to brake. I usually just use both brakes together all the time. The back brake, I don't know if you can see it down there, is it's, well, it looks like it's from a fucking combine harvester or something. It's like this massive pedal. I don't know, it seems to work, but I guess you don't need much more than that, but I guess some people might like a smaller pedal or something, but yeah, it's in the right sort of position where the footboards are, and everything's kind of where it needs to be really. All the switchgear and everything's really nice, with the indicators, the sort of left and right indicators, one on each side, work really well. Everything's really intuitive, to be honest. It's exactly where you want it to be. I like all the gauges as well, quite old school looking, but I like the sort of typeface. It is a little bit difficult to see, like, you know, you can see that I'm going between 30 and 40 now. It's difficult to see whether I'm doing sort of 35 or sort of 39 or something like that. So it's all very well going, you know, telling me that I'm doing 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, but it's the bits in between that are a little bit difficult to see, really. But other than that, yeah, that's a small bike, really. You've got a voltage meter there, you've got your fuel gauge there, nice rev counter as well. So I like it, it looks nice. Right, we're going to go for an overtake. Wafting along. Oh, it's spitting a little bit of rain, that's kind of annoying. It's supposed to be nice weather today, but it's looking a bit murky. Yeah, I'm still a little bit intimidated by this thing. But once you're up to this sort of speed, it's fine. On a nice road like this, it's perfect. It's just through town, it gets a little bit scary. I'm just scared of dropping it, that's all I'm scared of. Okay, one thing I just noticed, at the moment I'm getting a little bit of buffeting. So my eyeballs are rattling around a little bit. If I push this button, it's pretty much doubled. So yeah, that button is, always have that button down. So yeah, we know that they've obviously developed that because it does work. But yeah, it's even at this speed, so sort of, you know, 50-60 miles an hour, if I flick that up now, I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but my head is vibrating like a vibratey thing. literally can't see. Right, let's put it down again. Magically disappears when I push that button. I like that. Again, I know I keep going on about it. I'm not going to say it's a fault with the bike. It's probably more just a fault with me because I'm a bit too tall for this bike. If I had the regular Ultra, then I'd imagine it would be spot on. But as it is, my head gets wobbled around a lot on this thing, which doesn't make it particularly comfortable, I have to say. The seat's very comfortable. The sort of, my back's nice and upright. The seat's really low as well, so lower than the standard one. But it's getting to the point where I can barely read the road signs because my head's wobbling around so much. Okay, let's crack it open a little bit. Get a nice little burble. This just does the standard pipes, which don't sound incredibly loud. For some people, they kind of like that. They don't want it to be too loud and obnoxious. But I think really, if you're going to get a Harley, you've got to get some big pipes on it. That was obviously a trike of some sort. It sounded like a Harley. Don't know what type of Harley it is. I'm still not. I'm still learning a little bit about Harleys. I still don't know that much about them. So I apologise if you're expecting like a professional Harley reviewer to do an in-depth review on this awesome piece of machinery. But yeah, I'm not that person really. I just ride bikes. I just make these videos really just to sort of document all the bikes that I ride, and figured I might as well chat about them while I'm doing it. Yeah, if you can sort of feel the link braking system a little bit when you put it onto the front, you do feel it grab a little bit on the back. It's not a problem though, I don't dislike it, and it blatantly helps, and in some ways it kind of saves you having to use the back brake a lot more, so it saves you having to take your foot off the foot plates. Yeah, you do feel this thing squirm around. The wheelbase on this thing is massive. It is the longest bike I think I've ever seen. So you definitely feel it's a little bit slow to turn around the corner. Especially when you get to the apex of the corner, the rear wheel was still in a different bloody postcode. Let's get another overtake. So we're in 6th gear now, doing sort of 60 miles an hour, and we're sat at about 2,000 revs. Just barely ticking over. So I'm not too sure what the fuel's like on this thing. Harley quote about 45 miles to the gallon, which I guess is in proper ideal scenario situation, but it doesn't seem too bad on fuel, I have to say. But again, it's difficult to sort of quantify it really with the sort of riding I've been doing. Sort of mostly through town last night and then just a bit of A roads this morning. Tiddlywink. That's a cool name for a village, Tiddlywink. Let's go. Morning chaps.